The stereotype, of course, is that video games are single-player things, antisocial in nature. They're the kind of things that the teenage boy comes home, buries himself away from mom and dad in his room, and just stares at a computer screen by himself. And that's not entirely without basis. I have to say that was me when I was a teenager. But if you look at the video game scene today, they are deeply, deeply social things. The most popular games in the world, I think, are ones that are really heavily multiplayer. So, for example, in the last few years, the League of Legends game has just really taken over, and it has millions of players around the world. You can only really play League of Legends with other people. You don't have to make friends with them, but I think, in my experience, the people I've typically played with are people that I know outside of games, or people who have gotten to know by playing the game as well. And so it is a deeply social experience. And when you look at the consoles that have been developed, for example, the Wii is really designed around a social kind of setting. It's the same thing with the Xbox Kinect controllerless thing. Most of the games that come out, they're meant to be party games. They're meant to be games where you have a bunch of people playing in the same room at the same time. It's like board games in that sense, that games have actually always been social. It was just a short period of the video game history where, because of technological limitations, they really had to be solitaire games. And we're starting to come back to the fact that gaming is a tremendously social thing. Most people find it more fun to play games with other people in some way. And even the ones who play single-player games, like I typically do, still find social outlets for gaming. They tend to talk with other gamers about what they're doing. There are online sites where you can discuss and critique and think about video games. And so this notion that games are a solitary or an antisocial thing is actually significantly mistaken. Now, it's important to realize that the kinds of communities that you build with gaming, the kinds of social interaction that you have, they're not the same as everyday social interaction or interaction or social grouping outside of video games. They're not the same, but they can still be very powerful, and you can build strong friendships. When I surveyed gamers for the book, what I found was that many of the gamers reported that they had met people in games and that those people had gone on to become their friends. There were a large number of people who reported that kind of scenario. So it can, although it's not the same as going to church or being in a school or any kind of voluntary hobby organization in physical space, it can still be a really powerful way to make friendships and to find a sense of place and to find a group that you can call your home, your social network.